Antarctica is the best place to study space. You know? Why? Because millions of years of meteors hitting the ice and they just stop, right? And they know how to measure the depth, the age of the ice, so they can measure how long ago from where did the meteors come in and how the minerals mixed, and so there's meteorites everywhere in Antarctica. So they can study space. Space researchers go to Antarctica to study. And so when we finally arrived, oh, I have other sexy stories, but I'll leave that out because it was a Russian ship, it was Russian girls, and at night they do the Russian entertaining, and in the daytime they clean your room. So my room was shit, you know, it looked like hell. It stunk, it was awful. But, you know, there were these mini skirts. And I walked into my room, and the Russian super cute girls, they were like this, you know, cleaning my bed. And so I had my little Russian book, you know. Привет, меня зовут Joseph, you know. And they're like, oh, and I go, would you like to drink some wine? You know, I have some wine. Oh, and drink wine, you know. So that was my first Russian experience. And then in the nighttime, I couldn't sleep in my room. I sleep in where they perform. That's another story. So we've got to keep going. So this little penguin, when we landed there, he was lost. And I don't know, he thought I'm his daddy or something. He followed me all day.
Oh, wow.
Here's the big problem. If I touch him, it's a $10,000 fine. Because these penguins have no exposure to human bacteria and viruses. I could kill the whole population.
Yeah.
And vice versa. I could get something, you know, that we don't have. But whenever I go somewhere, I try to set a goal. I either try to do something good to give back to that community, or I do something really weird, like set a World Guinness Book record. So I applied to Guinness World Record to be the first human to play golf in all 7 continents. They wrote back and they said, there is no golf course in Antarctica, so that doesn't count. So I said, well, screw it, I'm going to do it anyway. So I cut a golf club this short, I put it in my jacket, and I was getting off the ship. And the guy caught me. And he said, sir, that'll be $10,000 if you step off the ship with that thing. Oh, okay, here you go. So I couldn't do it, but then I hit balls on the ship. Because the ship was in Antarctic waters, technically I played golf in Antarctica, and that means I played golf all 7 continents of the world. So anyway, there's another place you guys have to go. Because there's 8 kinds of whales, and penguins everywhere smells like shit. Because they really stink.
The whales or the penguins?
Penguins.
Penguins smell.
Penguins, they shit everywhere. So, okay, so after I went to 154 countries, all 7 continents, you know, where do you go? And so I had in my list, fly to space. Now, I thought this is probably not going to happen, you know. So I went to the internet. I go, there's no way I can go to space, right? I put fly to space. Boom! Anybody can go to space. I didn't know that. It depends on your definition of space, but I went to the outer atmosphere. 30,000 meters, 100,000 feet, straight up. How do you do this? The Russian Air Force flies you there for $35,000 an hour. So I'm a cheap son of a bitch. I'm not going to pay $35,000 an hour. So, you know, when I got my medical degree, I also got an MBA. And so I'm thinking, okay, it's a business for them. When do they not have customers? In the winter. Because most customers are Taiwanese, Chinese, and Japanese businessmen. So I took the Trans-Siberian Railway. You know, cheap. Now you guys have to take the Trans-Siberian Railway. You know, these big mamas are in charge of the train. And if they lock the toilet, I'm like, open the toilet, I gotta pee. They won't. So Russians who drink vodka for a week on the train just pee right on the carpet, all over. It's a hell of an experience. Anyway, so when I got there, I went to this place and I said, you know, I don't need a translator, I don't need to rent a car, I don't need the 5-star hotel, I don't need the fancy food and the fancy escort, I don't need any of that. I just want to fly. Just take me up there and bring me back. I'll give you $1,000 for gasoline and $500 for the pilot. They said something bad in Russian. So I took the money, put it in my pocket, I said, okay, see ya, fuck you. I'm walking out, and it's snowing, no customers. So finally they said yes. So I went to almost space for $1,500. This is the only jet in the world with 2 ICBM rockets in the back, and it goes at 3.2 Mach. That's about 5,000 kilometers per hour, 10 times on the regular jet. And then 7 Gs of force. So they said, hey, no food, right? Yeah, no food. Did you go to the toilet? Yes. No camera. I'm like, no camera, of course. Of course I'm going to bring camera, right? So because this is a secret military base, how they got me in there, they opened the trunk, and they said, please get in. I said, I'm not going in there. You don't get in, then no flight. So they put me in the trunk, and then took me in the Air Force Base, put me out, and they said, okay, we do special training. Oh, special training. I'm ready. And this big fat doctor came, looked at me, listened to my heart, and said, jump! So I jump up and down. Okay, finish. That's it? Yeah, finish. That was it. And so they wrapped me up in a G suit, and the pilot taught me, he said, okay. He says, I teach you one thing. He says, you see the red one over there? If I say emergency 3 times, you pull! And the rocket, they have a rocket launcher. I would straight out. Okay, right? I'm nervous as hell. And then I'm in this thing, and they close it up, and then it's going like unbelievable speed, you know, almost Mach 1 on the ground. And like that. And within a couple minutes or less, I'm already out there looking at Scandinavia and England over there, and you're weightless. But it's not true weightless, it's a relative weightlessness, because what it is, it's a big arc. So I'm still floating, but I have multiple and 100% oxygen. And the thing is, I bought a cheap camera and I put it here. No camera. But the problem is, with the 7G force, it's like somebody's pushing this as hard as you can on me. I was screaming in pain, like, there, all the way up. But then I got one shot, one picture. This is it. You can't see much, but it is 28,000 meters or something like that. So, after you go everywhere and in space and Antarctica, where do you go? Only one place, into ourself. Into ourself. So I thought, well, how do you become a monk? And most places I went, it takes many years of study, dedication, and the abbot has to appoint you, approve you all the way up. And so I thought, well, maybe I can't be a monk. But one thing, I believe in like a destiny. It was meant to be, it's just going to happen. And I was living in Thailand at the time. And I banged my head on a low ceiling. Boom! Like that. And all the hair in the middle of my head fell out. Pure ball right here. And there's a medical term for it. It's because of trauma, the hair stops growing right there. Anyway, so Thai people would look at it and go, oh, you were blessed by the Buddha, the light of the Buddha from the middle of your head. I'm like, what are you talking about? You know, no. So somebody said, oh, there's a herbalist, you must go to this old man. He was like 90-year-old man. And he goes, oh, no problem. He took some herbs and stuff and he crunched it all up. He said, put that on your head every day. I put it on my head every day and the hair started to grow out. Now they put it in shampoo, some expensive shampoos. Anyway, so I said to him in Thai, because at the time I could speak Thai, and I said, I want to be a buat. Buat means monk. And he looked at me and said, you are serious? I said, yes, I'm very serious. Okay. So he had this big motorcycle. And he put me on his motorcycle and he took me to the local abbot, who was his best friend. And he looked like Yoda. And he was this big. And he was sitting there. And then I walk in and he looks at me and goes, he smiled like this. He says, I'm waiting for you. He says, it has been 560 years since foreigner come to my temple. And he says, I dreamed about you. And you were under the mango tree. So from today your name is Mamuan, which means mango in Thai. I was Brother Mango. So first I went to this regular monastery with orange clothing. I didn't know that this is the monastery where they send gangsters. Like you can go to jail or you can go to this monastery. So I went to this place and they're covered in tattoo and they're looking at me like, fucking foreigner, you know. I was like, oh shit, this is going to be quite a lesson in humility. And then one day the abbot said, come here. He says, you're not learning anything here. I'm sending you to the deep forest, monk. And so I drive another 5 hours to the Myanmar border. Nothing there. Actually very dangerous. This is where the drug trade and everything is, and human trading is occurring. And this guy was my new abbot. Now this brown, dark brown color is very honorable in Thailand. This is the deepest forest monk. And it's very hard to become this. But it was destiny. Because he was born and raised in Japan. When he was a teenager, he went to India and became a monk in India and then a monk in Thailand. And I didn't know that, but he was a really famous guy.
Was he Japanese?
Japanese. He never spoke Japanese, and then I showed up, and then I speak fluent Japanese, and he was like, oh, you're a real son of a bitch. And then to make a long story short, he made me high level tomorrow, like that. Usually takes years. He said, tomorrow, you sit next to me. They have a hierarchy. They have like a military. You top, and an assistant, all the way down, until there's women who wear white clothes. These are nuns. And they have to help us cook and clean. And the reason why he did that is because people donated so much money to this guy, and he didn't know what to do with the money. He says, you know about money, right? You were in the outside dirty world. I said, yes. So he goes, come with me. And he opens up the room, about this size. And it was full of cash to the top, the whole room. He says, what shall we do with this? And I said, well, first we put it in the bank, then we think about investment. And then he put me in charge of finance and education. First was monk education, and then second was a big facility. So 500 people would come stay for monk retreat, and I would be educating them. What the hell do I know? So I just kind of make things up as best I can, you know. But the fun thing was monk education. I sit down, and all the monks would sit around me. I said, today, what do you want to talk about? And they say, you were in the outside world. Did you ever touch a woman? I said, a couple times. Yes. And they said, teach us, monk, Mango, teach us about women. I said, well, you know the most beautiful flower you have ever seen, and the smell and the touch? I said, multiply that 100 times. I said, you touch a woman and they melt in your arms, and then, what is it like to make love? I said, oh my God, the feeling like your bodies are coming together, and I can see all the young monks going, you know, salivating. I said, well, that's finished for today. Tomorrow is second lesson. You're like, no, give us more. So I used to torture them, and that was fun. And then, you know, police academies and universities and bank employees would come, you know, mandatory weekend retreat and pay money, you know, to the monastery. And I'm in charge of education. Like, it's good because, like a bank people, I can talk about finance. Like, what good is that, you know? You're stealing people's money, you banks. You know, you give 0% interest. You're a sexual predator, Tiger Woods. This is I set a Guinness World Record in Japan. Creative thinking. I'm not going to get into it. So there's this asshole, this guy. I'm sleeping in a bed and breakfast in Hualien, and I hear Harley. So I go out there and go, hey, Anjindian! This guy gets off the motorcycle with his leather pants, and he goes, hey, you know who I am? I go, I don't give a fuck who you are. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. Shut the fuck up. And he goes, I am the most famous star of Taiwan. I said, no wonder I don't know who the fuck you are, because nobody knows Taiwan. I like you. Let's have a drink. And then we became friends, drinking whiskey at 6 a.m. And then this little faggot guy comes out from the back with leather pants on. It's his younger brother, who's, I guess he's also a singer. But Taiwan people say, oh, he's famous. So then he says to me, I have an airplane, let's go fly. So I'm like, oh, okay. And the younger brother says, no, stop, don't go. And I found out from somebody else, the month before he took his friend flying, they crashed, the friend died, and he didn't die. So I said, no,
Who's that guy again?
So Taiwan is so amazing, and it's such inspiring people. Like when I was climbing Guanyin Mountain, I'm climbing Guanyin Mountain, and this 80-year-old guy is running past me. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So I'm trying to follow him. What does he do? Every day until he dies, he says, he's picking up garbage on Guanyin Mountain, filling up his bags, running back down, and cleaning the mountain. He says, that's my destiny. Every day. I said, rain or shine? Rain or shine. Wow. And then, first month that I came to Taiwan, I'm involved with Tibetans. And I heard, oh, they're going to have a rally for Tibetan, Panchen Lama, Chinese, kidnapped the real heir to the Dalai Lama. So I'm there, I'm going, release the Panchen Lama! Release the Panchen! Because I just got to Taiwan. And of course, all the news cameras, oh, White Loran, film him! So I'm on all the news, all over Taiwan. Panchen Lama, fuck Chinese! And my friends are like, how long does he want to stay in Taiwan? Because this is not good. So I have to, back off a little bit. And yeah, the kids are the most inspiring. And what's really sad? It's like I talk to a lot of little kids in Taipei, and then I go to Yanjuming, like in Raceway and those kind of places. And the Yanjuming little kids are more free and passionate, and they have lots of dreams. The little kids around here, they've been squashed down. That's kind of sad. Except this school. This is We Go, and Beto. They have a really good education. So I don't know if this guy doesn't matter. This guy is unbelievable. Who knows this guy? Pierre. Pierre's vegetables. My God. His vegetables have found to be one of the world's most cancer-curing vegetables. He will only sell if you have cancer. Even his wife, who had so much bad breast cancer, with cancer coming out of her armpits, they said, go home and die. He wouldn't eat his vegetables, so he put the vegetables in front of her every day in front of the TV. She finally started eating it, her cancer just disappeared. And Taida can't believe it, like, what does he do? And so a Japanese medical school came to examine his vegetables, and they found 40,000 organisms and antioxidant enzymes in his vegetables. And he has a huge farm too. But anyway, Pierre, organic.
In Tuchan, right?
Tuchan.
Is he still
He's been in Taiwan for over 40 years. And this guy, maybe he's going to be the next president, I guess.
Mayor How?
I don't know yet. But he studied nutritional science. So they're best buddies. Janet? I'm always pushing her, like, because she's not living her dream. I don't know if you know her. She's a model, TV host, everything, really famous here. But she wanted to go to medical school, and by mistake she ended up with this job on TV and became a model, and she's miserable, miserable inside. And I keep telling her, go to medical school. You're still young. Go. Anyway, so my favorite, Megan and I, we love Yanjuming. That's why I have all this Yanjuming stuff. When Megan was 8 years old, she made this by herself. This is like Yanjuming stuff. So this guy was the chief in Qinchuan. And when I met him, of course they all speak Japanese. So I speak Japanese with them and family. And the first thing he says to me with this knife is, and his bow and arrow, he says, I shot a pig yesterday, let's eat him. I'm like raw? Yeah, of course raw. And being a doctor, I know there's all those worms in the pig and everything. But what they do is they soak it immediately in unmatured mijo. So it's soaking in really thick alcohol, and it was the most delicious thing I ever had. You should try it. So we hang out with lots of Injimi, and we have lots of foreigner organizations that do things to help them. Like today, we went to Atayal Foreigners Group, and they do art, teach English, soccer for kids. But we forgot all about the elder ladies especially, who carry on the tradition of the sewing and the culture and the songs. Everybody forgot about them. So she's 86 years old. I asked her, "What's your dream, Oba-san?" And she says, "Oh, it's too late for my dream. My dream was to visit my homeland." I said, "Aren't you in your homeland?" She goes, "No, my homeland is Japan. Because Japan was here for over 100 years. And, you've heard Dr. Keating. Actually, Japan's been running this place for 1,000 years ago. So she was raised as a Japanese child, and her dream has been to go to Japan. So my next project is get the Obachans to Japan project. So it's going to be quite difficult with the passports and the medical blah blah blah. But that's my next project. So yeah, AIDS. I won't talk about it too much, except Taiwan had horrible AIDS. So we do education, because the education is the only way to fight this kind of thing. This is Megan. At the boys' school, there's 1,000 teenagers here, boys. So Megan shows up, teaching them how to use a condom.
That's not how you use a condom.
And so, of course, they all have hard-ons, right? They're all like, oh, have a little hard-ons, and whatever it takes to entertain them, that they'll never forget. Now, this is Dr. Helen Caldecott. She won the Nobel Prize talking about worldwide nuclear issues and starting Physicians for Social Responsibility. Do you know she came to Taiwan last year to talk and said, quote unquote, Taipei is the most dangerous place on the planet. And it's not if, it's a matter of time before 20 million people all around this 40-mile radius will be wiped out.
By what?
Radiation. So, guess what? The media suppressed it, the government suppressed it, nobody welcomed her. Because she will tell the truth. She only tells the truth of what she knows. So, Megan and I carry a Geiger counter wherever we go. This is microsieverts units, and I'm sorry to tell you this, but there's massive leakage of nuclear waste here in Taipei. Massive. Today I measured 6 times of normal radiation. Right here in Down Park. 6 times. And if you eat the fish here, you're going to die of cancer real soon. Because the fish that you eat here is the worst radiation on Earth. So, it's good to have one of these. You can get it online. From the Pacific Ocean.
From Fukushima?
Fukushima, and the leakage from the 4 nuclear plants right next to us. So we have friends who worked in those nuclear plants who were either quit or got fired because they had 2 major accidents and they were covered in nuclear radioactive dust. One of our best friends who did Megan's tattoo. So this is a major thing. AIDS, they completely covered it up, and then radiation leakage. I talked to an American engineer who was hired by the Taiwanese government to come and fix the leakage. So I talked to him about it, and he said, don't worry about it. He says, I fixed them all. I said, so were the critical screws cracked around the casing of the nuclear rods? He goes, oh yeah, they were cracked completely. Probably since the '99 quake. And leaking all the time. Wow. Nobody says anything about it. And Megan and I have been to these nuclear plants measuring everything. And even in Costco, I measured the fish. Manager comes running. Sir, can I help you? I'm just checking the radiation in your fish. When I go to sushi restaurants and I measure this, Megan says, oh my God, are you going to eat that? I said, well, I'm paying for it. I got to eat it. So how do you find a balance? It's not easy, but awareness, man. And we have to do something about it. And so I got to write about it. I got to talk about it. I got to just spread it wherever I can. The truth, because Geiger counters don't lie, and we've interviewed people who've been covered in radiation in
How
Taiwan.
much is for it?
Anywhere between $70 and $100 online. So this is one of the nuclear reactors. You can go visit. Anybody can go. So this is me measuring nuclear levels at number 1, number 2 radioactive plants. And I love these. Like this is Taiwan's idea of a massive evacuation. Run that way. Tsunami and radioactive accident. Just run that way. No preparation. And oh my God, the design of these nuclear plants is the worst. You couldn't have made it worse. It's right on the beach. One tsunami and that's it. We're done. We're going to get cooked.
Danshi, what's the absolute worst place to be, like right around those?
Here, right here, Taipei downtown. Why?
Not
Because we're surrounded by the four, and it'll come all through the valleys through here. It'll concentrate right here.
what, from wind and water or what?
Wind, yeah. Wind. Of course, water too. Of course, water too.
The nuclear linkage with air and all that.
It's already in the air.
Yeah.
Like I just measured 0.28, which is 0.05 is normal. What is that? 5 to 6 times is normal. We're breathing it.
0.5 is normal, now it's 2.8.
Yeah. But the good news is that it depends on the weather and the wind patterns. Sometimes it's completely normal. Sometimes suddenly it's way up. Depends on
It's
this.
leaking all the time.
You see, right now, no. Like right now, the typhoon is going to Japan, big one. So you can feel the humidity is kind of muggy,
Yeah.
and that's bad because it grabs onto the radioactivity and it settles down. That's why the last couple of days it's been really high. So this is example. Everywhere I go now, I measure radiation, and it's abnormal now. I'm used to abnormal high levels.
That's also from the Fukushima.
Of course, from Fukushima also. That only compounds it. But we're probably not going to get massive radiation. It's the worst way to die. We rot from the inside and start puking and pouring blood from everywhere. Radiation death. We're not going to die from Fukushima, but we will die if any of those plants has a massive leakage. So let me jump to some of my heroes. This is Jane Goodall, and she's my #1 hero. Unbelievable. 80 years old, travels 360 days a week to make this world a little better. And she started the world's largest NGO. Now in 200 countries, millions and millions of members. And her philosophy is, I've given up on adults. I'm going to focus on children. So they're all children members. What's her name called? It's called Roots and Shoots. Roots and Shoots. Just like the roots and shoots of give strength to the tree, right? Tree with no roots and shoots can fall right over. This is too late for the adults. Let the children teach the adults. Let the children clean their own life world that we've fucked up for them.
You